And so you are attending the Unwrapping the Wonder, and this is a APH Connect Center VisionAware webinar. And we are so glad to have you here today. And we have so much good stuff in store for you guys. But before we get started, I want to introduce our director of the Connect Center. And I guess I should introduce myself. I didn't do that yet. My name is, I think I did. Yes, I did. My name is Melanie Pesco. And our director is Olaya Landa-Vialard. She is, she's been with us for, oh my goodness, it's been a while now. I'll let her say hello and then we will get this show on the road.
Yes. Hi, Melanie. Thank you so much. And thank you to everyone who is in attendance for this awesome webinar. As Melanie said, my name is Olaya Landa-Vialard. I am the director of the APH Connect Center, which comprises the 3 websites, VisionAware, Family Connect, and CareerConnect, in addition to the information and referral line. So if you're ever interested in looking at the other websites and also catching up with any of the webinars that you were not able to attend, you can always visit our website at aphconnectcenter.org and get to that great information. I have been here since May, so it's barely going on 6 months or so. It seems like a lot longer, but in a good way. We're just so busy that we have been busy since I jumped on board in May, and it's just been kind of like a whirlwind. So it's a good thing. And I'm just really excited that you all made the time to attend, and I'm thankful for the presenters as well for sharing all this awesome information at this time of the year, especially with everybody trying to find gifts and things. So thanks for your sharing of your expertise, and I will hand it back over to Melanie.
Thank you, Olaya. All right, guys, welcome again. We are so happy that you are here with us. We have some really great folks here that have just generously offered to share some of their time and expertise with us regarding some products from you name it, and they've covered it. You can't, they've run the whole gamut here. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about who we have, and then I'm going to let them do their real introductions. First, we have Laura Legendary. She is an entrepreneur, and I know one of your businesses is Elegant Insights Jewelry, but I know I've seen you do other things, and so you can definitely share more about that. And I love, Laura has these shopping days that she'll tell you about. And so, so that is Laura. Then we have Jeannie Johnson. Jeannie is just very familiar, I guess that's to say it mildly, with with all things accessible kitchen gadgets and small kitchen appliances and things like that. So Jeannie is really going to give us some great info on kitchen things that we can think about for Christmas. Then we have Shay Duarte. Shay, did I say that right?
Yes.
Oh, wonderful. No, I just thought about it. And I thought, I don't know that I've ever heard your name out loud, except in my own head. And Shay is an employee here at APH with me, and she is in our customer relations department. She's going to talk a little bit about some of the APH products toward the end. And then we have Richard Rueda. I don't think I'm saying that right, but I think my tongue doesn't want to work that way. In any case, Richard is the content lead for CareerConnect, one of our Connect Center websites, and he's just got a whole bunch of more techie type stuff to talk about. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and what we're going to do is each one of our panelists is going to talk for a little bit of time and talk about some of the things that they have selected to share. And then once everyone has finished talking about what they have, then I am going to pose a few questions for them. And then at that point, we can take some questions from the audience. So let's just get this started. And we'll start off with Laura, if you would, please.
Hi, everyone. And hi, Melanie. Thank you so much for inviting me to be with you today. Welcome to the audience. I hope you are ready to go with some great ideas because we have lots of information to pass along, and there is going to be information available, a whole list from which you can make your choices of great gifts for people with vision loss. And as Melanie said, my name is Laura. I am the owner of a small business called Elegant Insights Braille Creations, and I'll tell you more about that momentarily. But I'm also the founder of an online, accessible, virtual shopping event called Let's Go Shopping. And we've posted count them, four of these online virtual mall crawl events over the course of 2020. And what they are is just what it sounds like. It's an online marketplace where people can shop virtually via Zoom. And what we do is connect small businesses with the customers who need them. And this was an outgrowth of the pandemic where there was a certain amount of concern on my part about my colleagues, my acquaintances who were small business owners and how they would fare during the pandemic. And then I got to thinking about all of the people out there who were stuck at home, who were quarantined, who had gift giving opportunities looming on the horizon, whether that was Mother's Day or Easter or graduations, Father's Day and birthdays and anniversaries. And since no one was able to get to where they could go for gift giving occasions, they needed a way to go shopping. So I created Let's Go Shopping virtual events. And over the course of 2020, I have supported almost 30 small businesses, most of which are owned by entrepreneurs with disabilities, or the business owners are closely acquainted with a loved one who has a disability, or they offer products specifically for people with disabilities. So we kind of encompass all aspects of the needs of our community with respect to great gifts. So just to get the ball rolling on places from which you can purchase some great gifts, I'd like to share with you some of the vendors I've promoted as great resources. And again, these are business owners who have one or more disabilities for the most part. So not only are you shopping a small business, you are supporting an entrepreneur who has a disability. So while Melanie has already sent out a truncated list of these vendors, I'll share with you quickly the list of the most recent vendors who participated in the holiday shopping event, so you can get some ideas for where to go for more information. The first business I want to share with you is called Guide Lights and Gadgets. Their tagline is simple and affordable technological fun. They have bags and pouches and phone cases and backpacks and all sorts of leather goods. If you carry it or cover it, they probably have it. They're a great place to go shopping for small and tech related, but not necessarily tech gifts, although they are an authorized reseller for Orbit items. So if you're looking for those, that's Guide Lights and Gadgets. Elegant Insights, Braille Creations, as I mentioned before, that's my own business. We offer a distinctive collection of jewelry and accessories, all handcrafted, made in the USA, and embossed in Braille. We now also offer engraving. So if you need to give gifts that are perfectly personalized for a Braille reader or someone with low vision, we offer Braille as well as engraving. Victoria Land Beauty is owned and operated by a woman whose son was born with a visual impairment, and she created her own line of skincare only to realize that the packaging was impossible for a person with vision loss to distinguish from one product to another. So she developed an accessible packaging scheme that would enable you to feel in a way that's tactile and universal, the distinctions between the different bottles, jars, and packages she offers. And you'll be hearing more about Victoria Land Beauty in the future, I have no doubt, because she's developed something really ingenious. Scenic Made is a company that creates artisanal care packages in small batches. They make beautiful gift boxes of goodies and treats and caramels and the most delicious gourmet food items you can imagine in beautifully packaged holiday gift boxes. Mama Otter's Tidbits offers treasures, treats, and trinkets for every taste. She does handcrafted beaded jewelry. Scentsy with Nini. Nini is an independent Scentsy consultant, and she will fill your life with fragrance. A Touch of Clay is a blind entrepreneur who is also an artist who creates beautiful, affordable, handcrafted gifts for the holidays or any occasion. AT Guys is probably a business you've heard of if you love tech gadgets. They have smart technology for your smart life. That's AT Guys for assistive technology guys. Needle Creations is a business run by a woman named Terry, who is a creative artist who creates needle items, needlecraft, loomed items, woven items. Everything is all handcrafted. Angela's Awesome Homemade Jerky. It's everything it sounds like. It's awesome, homemade, handcrafted beef jerky that is delicious and a great alternative to the stuff you can buy at the convenience store. Kane Kids Shop. That's Kanekids, Kane Kids Shop. Offers embroidered scarves for your pets. PattyandRicky.com offers functional and fashionable clothing, accessories for people of all abilities. So whether it's men, women, or kids, PattyandRicky.com is your marketplace for inclusive and adaptive apparel and accessories. That's PattyandRicky, PattyandRicky.com. Guide Like Dogs Products is a division of Guidelights and Gadgets, which I mentioned at the top of the list. That's a place where happiness wags. Kay Ann Roush sells products just for dogs, guide dogs, service dogs, emotional support dogs, pet dogs, anything related to dogs. That's Guidelight Dog Products. Beauty by Brittany. Brittany Savage is an independent Mary Kay consultant. You can fill your world with color and beautiful products with Beauty by Brittany. My Photo Blanket is owned and operated by a gentleman with vision loss, and he will wrap you up in a perfect memory by enabling you to send him a photograph of your choice. It could be a photo, it could be a collage, it could be text, it could be just about anything. If you can send it in a photo, he can put it on a blanket, a tote bag, a wall hanging, a coffee mug, you name it. Wrap yourself up in a perfect memory with My Photo Blanket. Mitzi Kit is one of my favorite small businesses because Mitzi Kit, that's M-I-T-S-Y, Mitzi Kit, the owner of this business has found a way to make sewing and craft kits accessible to everyone. And I love Mitzi Kit products because it's the gift that keeps on giving. In other words, you purchase a sewing or craft kit for someone as a gift, and they can then make their own gifts, their own handcrafted gifts that they can either sell or give to loved ones. So if you know someone with a creative bone, Mitzi Kit Accessible Crafts is a great gift. The Harbolt Company specializes in unique and hard to find items. It could be small appliances, it could be tech gadgets and daily living aids, it could be any number of small items or phone cases, phone accessories, all sorts of gadgety, techy, geeky, fun things. And that is the Harbolt, Harbolt, company. So that's a quick rundown of the types of businesses that I promoted on the Let's Go Shopping marketplace. And if any of you want any specific information about any of these businesses, I'll be happy to provide it. Additionally, you can find not only the complete list of vendors, but an audio recording of the entire Let's Go Shopping holiday gift extravaganza on my blog, which I will also make available to all of you. The event was 2 days and it was 9 hours each day. So that's 18 hours of content if you want to sit and listen to the entire Let's Go Shopping event and catch up with any of the vendors you missed if you were only able to catch part of the event, or hear the whole thing from beginning to end with all of these wonderful disabled entrepreneurs selling their wares. It is a treasure trove of gift ideas for people who have vision loss.
Laura,
So,
thank you. Oh,
yeah,
I'm sorry.
I will wrap it up there and give everyone an opportunity to ask questions later. So thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Laura. That was wonderful. Oh my goodness. You're right. A true treasure trove. I can't even imagine what else is on the footage. So thank you again. And Laura, all of the things that Laura mentioned, all of the vendors that she mentioned are listed in the document that I just dropped into the chat. And I will continue to drop that periodically through the webinar. And it has all the information, including Laura's website as well, for you to get all of that Zoom content. So thank you again, Laura.
Of course.
All right, next up we have Jeannie. And Jeannie, I told you, she's like the kitchen maven. And she has a ton of great stuff to share with you guys. So Jeannie, I'm going to let you introduce yourself and take it away.
All right. Well, I'm Jeannie Johnson, and I'm very glad to be here today. Thank you, Melanie, for having me as part of this webinar. And years ago, I'm going to make this long story short. My grandmother was a wonderful cook. I lived with her, but she had no idea how to teach a child who was blind to cook. So I didn't get anywhere there, had lots of fears. And this was way back in the old days when to teach children who were blind, you didn't necessarily have to have a special ed degree and all that. So our home ec teacher really did great with the students who had some vision, but with those of us who had no vision and lots of fears, it was hopeless. So I always was afraid I'd never be able to cook, but fortunately, a roommate in college actually decided she was going to take me under her wing and teach me how. And I've been cooking ever since, and it got crazy. And I just love finding different kitchen items that are easy to use, because I love ease of preparation, safe, and often, affordable is always good. So here we go with some of my favorite things that I think would make awesome gifts for people that you know, and that includes yourself. And the first one is a lot of fun if you like popcorn, but you don't like to deal with those microwave popcorn bags and you still want to do it in the microwave. My first thing is a silicone collapsible popcorn popper. There are different brands, but in the document that Melanie has made, there will be a link to one. And I do have it. I use it often. It's easy to use. You just put a little bit of oil in your popcorn in it, put the lid on it, and it's kind of fun because when you put the lid on, the lid goes way down. But then as the popcorn pops, the lid comes up, and when it's all done, if you had enough popcorn in there, it's nearly to the top of the thing. So anyway, it's a silicone popcorn popper so that you can do it in the microwave. And another great thing about it, when it's time to put it away after it's all cleaned up, it's collapsible. So it doesn't take up much room like the old hard plastic microwave popcorn poppers. One of my favorite brands for products is called Unwrapping. That's Kuhnrikon. They make a lot of products with safety in mind. One thing that they make several models of is a safety can opener. And this morning I was looking in the link that I had sent to Melanie for the can opener. That particular one is no longer available, but there are other models of the Unwrapping safety can opener available, and other companies also make them. The nice thing is you can open the can, and what it does is it separates the lid from the body, but it doesn't leave any sharp edges. When I was in college, I had friends who worked in canneries during the summer. And what actually happens is that there's a seal between the lid and the can itself. And these can openers basically unloosen or loosen that seal. So you can just lift the can right, or the lid right off of the can. So that's wonderful and safe. No more cutting your finger when you're trying to make sure things are out of the can or whatever. Unwrapping also makes knives that have sheaths or sheaths. I'm not sure which way you're supposed to say that. Anyway, the plural of S-H-E-A-T-H. And these are sheaths that you put the knife in when you're not using it. It's not just one of those little flimsy plastic things that protects the blade when the knife is new, but you use these all the time. So if I'm using one of the knives, I just take the sheath off, leave it in the drawer, and use my knife. And then when I'm ready to put the knife back in the drawer, I find the sheath and put it back on it. So I never have to worry about reaching into a drawer and accidentally cutting a finger because the knife blade was facing the wrong way. And there are, again, other brands. The link that I sent to Melanie is for a set of paring knives, but they have paring knives, bread knives, all kinds. And there are other brands too that make knives. In fact, I have some Santoku or Santuko, whatever you say, knives that have sheaths, but they're made by a different company. One more favorite Unwrapping product. This is so good, y'all. This is called the Chop Chop or the Pull Chop. The 3-cup model is called the Chop Chop. The 2-cup model is called the Pull Chop. Don't know why they made a distinction, but they did. So you have a bowl and it has a blade that will rotate. You put the lid on, and the lid has a string. For those of you who are as old as I am, it kind of reminds me of the Chatty Cathy dolls that we used to have. And every time you pull that string, it makes the blade rotate. And each time you pull it, it chops whatever is in there, like onion or celery or whatever, nuts, a little finer. And the more you pull, the finer it gets. And it is just wonderful. You can peel your onion, cut it into fourths, stick it in there, put the lid on, and in 5 or 6 or 7 pulls, you've got nice diced onion. You don't even have to worry, and no tears either, by the way. So those are my favorite things by Unwrapping, but it definitely pays to look at their products. I think they do such a good job. Also, if you're doing chopping with a knife, something you might be interested in that I think is great, and you can get this from the specialty agencies that sell to people who are blind, but you can also get this from Amazon. You don't have to get things that are especially for us from those other places. I won't name any of them because I use them too, and I don't want to hurt their business, but sometimes they charge more for the same product that you can get on Amazon. But it's a safety glove, and you put it on the hand that isn't holding the knife. And that way, if you accidentally get your finger under the knife, or if you're using a mandolin to chop a vegetable, in that case, you'd put the glove on the hand that's holding the thing, the little holder that you're using with your mandolin. Anyway, the safety glove is going to keep you from cutting your finger because it's going to protect your finger. It's made out of a material that doesn't accept the blade of the knife. You know, it doesn't come through. So that's really good. And I love those. And they come in small, medium, large, and extra large. You can get them in different sizes. And a few months ago, I got a vegetable cutter set that actually had a safety glove with it. So that was a nice bonus. All right, so now we've been talking about things that you can use for food prep, but you know, in order to make food, you have to go grocery shopping. And a lot of us, when we go grocery shopping, if we don't have the luxury of having the groceries delivered, and I realize that more and more we can do that now, but if you have to go grocery shopping and you have to use paratransit, or even if you don't, a lot of times the paratransit will say, like in Nashville, where I am, you can have up to 10 bags and that's it. Well, I'm sorry, if I'm shopping for groceries, I don't know how many bags those groceries are going to fit in, but this is a set of big reusable grocery bags that have a flat bottom. They are wonderful. And the link that I gave Melanie is for assorted colors. They also have them where you can get them just in black or just in blue or whatever you want. But you're able to take these to the store with you, have your groceries put in them. And then when you get in your access ride vehicle, the bags are going to sit flat because they have that flat bottom. And so you don't have to worry about your cola rolling all over the van because the bag turned over and all that. So anyway, these bags are great and I highly recommend them. Now back to the kitchen, back to preparing foods. A lot of us do not like to peel potatoes, and some of us are really slow at it. And eventually some of us may decide, well, I'll just eat them with the skin, but there are still times where you might want to peel them. And instead of having to do it manually, you can get something called the Rotato Express. You put one end of the potato on the prongs, and then there's an arm that you lower, and you put the prong on the top of the potato and you turn it on. And this one can run by battery or electricity, and it rotates the potato and peels the skin off, and you don't have a lot of extra waste. And voila, you have your peeled potato. I love that thing. A talking kitchen scale can really be valuable. I don't know about you, but sometimes I will buy meat in bulk. And I know there are some people that think it's sacrilegious to freeze meat, but I think it's very helpful, especially in this day and time when you can't always get what you want when you want it. So when you can, then you might buy a little extra. But I have a talking kitchen scale, which I love. And again, there are different models of this. And you can buy a 5-pound tray of ground beef and make it into 1-pound packages, and you know, put those in a Ziploc bag or use a food saver and put them in the vacuum bags where there's no air for sure. And it's very convenient, easy to understand. Some of them will weigh up to 6 pounds worth of whatever, and others that I've seen will weigh up to 11 pounds. And they range in price anywhere from $19.95 all the way up to $40 or $50. All right, so I've done all this talking and nothing has been electric. Melanie mentioned that I'm into small kitchen appliances, which I am. So the last 4 things I'm going to talk about are all favorite things of mine that are electric. The first one is a Hamilton Beach 8-cup food processor. It's model 70740. Goes together very easily, works great, and I just think it's wonderful. So if you're in the market for a new food processor or you've never had one and want to try one, this I would strongly recommend. It just has 2 speeds and then a knob also for pulse. So it's very easy to operate. You don't have to worry about a lot of different mix and puree and this and that and the other. You just get the job done. I made cranberry relish for our Thanksgiving dinner with it the other day. Air fryers are the big thing these days. And for those of us who are blind or visually impaired, the digitals don't always work so well for us. So there are still air fryers that have the knobs, they're analog. And one of my favorites is the Insignia air fryer. And this is Best Buy brand. And if you're thinking, well, I don't have a Best Buy near me, that's all right, because you can also order online from Best Buy. My next item is the Cuisinart TOA 60 air fryer convection toaster oven. So this does lots of things, and I like things that serve several purposes. This is like a toaster oven, but it also air fries. You can bake, convection bake, broil, convection broil, toast, and keep warm with it. And when I got this, I no longer needed my Insignia air fryer, so I found a good home for it and made somebody very happy, because if I don't want something, I just give it away. I don't sell it. So anyway, but this is a great fryer if you want a standalone fryer that's easy to use, and it is big enough that if you want to put tactile dots for the temperatures and times that you use the most, you can do that. One of my favorite things, and everyone probably knows that this is a biggie, is the Instant Pot. And I will say it is Instant Pot. It's not Instapot, it's Instant Pot. And the latest model is the Duo Nova. It's one of the latest models. The Duo, I think, is the most accessible for people who are blind or visually impaired of the Instant Pots. And the Nova has all the features that the Duo has. Plus, when you put the lid on and you press pressure cook, it automatically seals, so the pressure will build instead of you having to set the sealing. And either way, it's not that big a deal, but it is nice. And they had great buys on these on Black Friday and through Cyber Monday. I don't think they have them right now, but they may have them again. You never know. So these are all great things to consider depending on how much you want to spend. We've got things that range from $13 all the way up to over $100. And if you're really interested in being in a Facebook group that talks about kitchen electrics and gives recipes and tips, but you don't want to deal with, I don't know what that recipe is because it's in an image and my screen reader won't read it, come to my Facebook group, which is All Text, ALLTEXT, Small Kitchen Electrics. We would love to have you. And then every other Wednesday night, I also do a call called It's Electric, and this is associated with the American Council of the Blind. We have community calls every day, and the next call for It's Electric will be on December 9th. And thank you so much for having me. And later you will have an opportunity to ask questions if you have any. And please join that Facebook group.
Well, thank you so much, Jeannie. Wow, that was just I think I told you earlier, I want at least half of everything you mentioned.
Of course.
And it sounds like there are a lot of price points. So I think that's a great list. And I did see a couple questions come in, and I am tagging those. We will wait until the end to ask those questions, just so that we have time for everybody to present first, if that's okay. So next up, and thank you again, Jeannie, I'm sorry. Really, really happy to have you with us. Next up, we are going to talk with Richard, and Richard's going to go high tech on us here. I suspect not all of his items are going to be as reasonably priced as Jeannie's, but they may be on your list. So go ahead, Richard, introduce yourself, please.
Hi, Melanie. Can you hear me okay? Am I off mute?
Absolutely. You sound great.
Perfect. And thank you. Great discussion so far. Thank you, Laura, and thank you, Jeannie. Between that homemade jerky and the Instant Pot Duo, I think it's going to be a big stocking stuffer. I'm here with you all today to talk about some of the gadgets and technology, and it doesn't have to be expensive if you take advantage of some of the Cyber Week deals or Black Friday deals, which seems to be going on since October. I think there's a lot to discuss. As Melanie said at the beginning, I'm with the Connect Center with the CareerConnect team to publish content. And when thinking about a webinar for the holidays, I thought, let's all come together and do something for our Connect Center family and talk about gifts for people who are blind and low vision and some of those considerations. So thank you for having me on the panel. Going to my notes here. Some of the things I consider when I'm giving gifts to myself or to family or friends with vision loss is, do they want things that are tactile, tangible, getting to know their needs and wants. And a lot of things that come to mind for me are the mainstream tech items that didn't exist 5 or 10 years ago, very proprietary. And I think we live in a day and age where it's pretty awesome that a person who is blind or low vision can go to Best Buy, Target, or online to Amazon or to an Apple website and get something that's going to work out of the box, literally, with very little to no assistance to set up. And I've got a handful of things I'll talk about. I could talk about, let me see here. Oh, let me back up and say one of my go-to places for some of the mainstream technologies is actually some of the blindness organizations. I want to start there just as a point of reference. In preparing for today's talk and just in general, keeping in the trend of what's available to us, we often don't know, especially if you're not dialed into the community and you're not reading the posts every day and following the trends. I go to a couple of things. The Braille Institute out of Los Angeles has a really neat gift guide, and I think I gave you that link, Melanie, and they had some really good topics there and a lot of things that I'll cover in just a moment. And then Access World, a publication of AFB, has a really thorough gift guide that focuses on some of the things that blind and low vision folks would want to take advantage of, and some really neat gadgets, from tech gadgets to experiences to supporting small businesses, as Laura was talking about earlier. And then there is the AT guys and their Blind Bargains podcast. Those are some of the go-tos that I reference when I'm looking for things for my clients, my students, people I work with here in Sacramento. And those are some of my, let's see, and of course, APH and our own websites and our INR line. If you're stuck and you want some gift ideas, call us. That's what we're here. And then when you're looking for some of those products through Amazon and Apple and Google, of which I will go to in just a moment, a lot of those companies have disability help desks. Apple has one, Google has one, Amazon has one. I'm thinking of the three big ones: Amazon, Google, and Apple, just for time's sake right now. And then they all have an accessibility webpage and a hotline that you can call. If you're familiar with the Be My Eyes app, you can access them through that app as well. And you can say, hey, how do I use this product? How do I start it as a blind person if you're stumbled, or if you want to get that device for someone and you're trying to turn on the talking feature so you can give it to them during the holidays. Those are great resources. And I just want to make sure that those things were set up front, because I think we're talking mainstream. It doesn't have to be something that you can't get, because it's very accessible. It doesn't have to be daunting or something that you can't comprehend. And some of these organizations, such as Apple and Google, and through their devices, through their apps, have talking devices such as talking thermostats, talking scales, talking speakers such as your Echo or Amazon devices, and Google devices and Apple devices all have things that talk to you, which I think are brilliant. And I think those are things that we can interact with in our homes as blind and low vision people, saying, hey, what is the weather today? What is the stock market doing? Who is winning the baseball game? What is the top rated movie? Really easy, accessible things that you can do on your own and to maximize your independence. And I always look towards those kinds of devices when I'm thinking of friends and family, and often older people who are newly blind, who are wondering how they're going to acclimate to their vision loss and still be self-sufficient and have these products at hand. Some of my favorite things, I will go into that now, are looking at the Apple devices. The Apple Watch, it's an extension of your phone. And recently Apple says you don't have to have an iPhone or an iPad to have an Apple Watch. In fact, you can set up the Apple Watch to talk to you, to check your heart rate and to check your blood oxygen level, among other things, independent of your phone. I think you do have to have a phone to get it started, but it doesn't have to be your phone. Someone can gift you an Apple Watch, sign it up on their phone, and give you the watch, and you're off on your own. And I think the brilliant thing about the Apple Watch is it's not a talking watch that you used to get at Radio Shack or through one of the online vendors where it was a talking watch that wasn't waterproof, that even if it just got splashed, it would be a waste of money because it wouldn't work. With the Apple Watch, which I have here on my wrist, and I'll just raise up, and it's sleek. It has a flat surface, and like the iPhone, you can touch it or tap it and make it talk. You can ask Siri what the temperature is, what the weather is, what your conditions are, especially if you're outdoors traveling as much as I do and your phone is tucked away in your back pocket or out of reach of people who maybe want to grab it. Your watch is an extension with or without your phone. If you have a cellular model, you can use the watch independent of that, and it's great. And it works on the Wi-Fi network at home. And often when I'm cooking or cleaning or doing things, I can set reminders, say, hey, remind me to take out the trash in 30 minutes. And the Apple Watch does so much. You can play your books on it, you can check messages, and even do your email on it. And I love that. And it's one of the mainstream portable technologies. They do have a SE version, which is a less expensive version than the main model, that doesn't check your blood oxygen level or heart rate, but it does everything else. And I think that's the $200 version versus the $400 Apple Watch version. Another device that I like in keeping with the Apple products is the AirPods. AirPods are right out of the box, and if you have an Apple device or any device, you could pair these, and they're basically two earbuds that are wireless. Pull them out of the case. Some people say they look like little toothbrush things that are sticking out of your ears. They're white, and this is the original AirPod. And again, they can pair with your watch or with your phone or with any device in your home. And if it's connected with an Apple device, you can just tap it in your ear, and you can say, what's the weather like? You can say, call mom, order a pizza, whatever it is you want to do. It's hands-free. And often if you're traveling and you're outdoors and you've got your watch on and you can say, get me directions to the nearest Starbucks, which, it's a place I happen to go to a lot. And so that's the Apple AirPods. And right now they're on sale for about $100 this week on certain various websites. This week being the first week of December for those watching the webinar later. And with the holidays in full swing, you're going to see a lot of good deals on portable wireless headphones. And let's see here. Another cool device with the Amazon products, we look at Echo, the A lady, we call her Alexa. I don't want to trigger anyone's talking speakers at home. So the A lady, this is an Echo device right here. I've got in my hand. It fits in my hand. It's a speaker. I have it currently unplugged, but it has 4 buttons on top. You can press the button to manually ask her what the weather is. You can raise the volume, or you can mute it. So if you're talking about her and her name, you can put it on mute and say her name as much as you want. What is the weather? Give me my news briefing, play NPR. What are my deals? Order me more dog food. There's so much you can do with this device. It's really neat. You can even connect your Audible account to it, or even Kindle, certain Kindle services with it. And that's a really good thing. And these often go on sale through the Amazon website. Sometimes you can get them as low as $25, $30. And those are the dots. Those are the very mini versions of what I have here in my hand. They're about half the size. They still have a powerful speaker. And I think it's really, really cool. Amazon has a whole line of Fire TVs, TVs with built-in talking software, and you can literally go down and play your Netflix or your Amazon Prime or Hulu or any other things, and it has the whole talking menu, so you can do that. And those TVs often range from $100 to $200 through the Amazon webpage, and some really brilliant programming. I haven't yet purchased an Amazon TV, but I'm thinking I'm going to really soon, especially with winter coming in, not a whole lot going on outdoors. I've relied on my iPhone to kind of watch movies, but with low vision, I think I can see those 32-inch screens. Again, those are just some of the mainstream things that come to mind. Let me see, Melanie, I've got a couple of other things. One other thing I pulled out that I don't wear too often because of my Apple Watch, but it was a hit a few years ago, and you can still find them, is the Bradley watch. And I've got it here in front of me up on the screen. And it's a very tactile watch. It has you can feel the hour and the minute hand, and it has 2 little ball bearings, and you can put your hand on it and just casually check the time if you're in a meeting or if you just want to know what the time is without having something talk to you. I call this a low-tech device. It does range about $300. It's a really classy looking watch. It does take batteries. You cannot submerge it in water, but if you're looking for a classy look, maybe someone out there who does a lot of business travel, post-pandemic, someone who likes to dress up, this is a really nice watch. And it's the Bradley watch, and it was, I think, made by a blind guy who was in the Iraq War, and he came back and he wanted a watch that was going to be really tactile and tangible for him and very classy, that wasn't digital. And this kind of fits the mold of the Bradley watch. And I don't think I gave you that link, Melanie, but I can look it up while we're discussing. There are so many mainstream technology items. I've really focused on the stuff that's out of the box from Apple, from Amazon, from Google, and some brilliant stuff out there. And we're in a time in our lives as blind and low vision people where the options are limitless. Whereas 5-10 years ago, we had to rely on built-in or add-ons to these devices to make them function. Now that is so much less the case. And I think in 5 or 10 years, with virtual reality and AR and all those things coming out, we're going to see things, so many mainstream items that it's going to be limitless. So thank you, and I look forward to the questions.
Richard, thank you so much. That was, oh my goodness. If I thought I really wanted Jeannie's items, now I'm really, really wanting yours. and also, just to add to what you said, Amazon has the Echo enabled, I don't want to say her name either, microwave oven. I don't remember if Jeannie mentioned that or not. Unfortunately, it's, and I was just shopping for a new microwave, but unfortunately it is only 0.7 cubic feet. So it's not great for a family, but if you have a small family, I guess it would be great. But I was kind of bummed about that. So
I think this first version is very not powerful. It'll do popcorn, but it won't. It's new, but I think it's a great intervention. And I think it'll get better.
Yeah. So anyway, thank you so much. I'm really hoping that Santa brings me that new Apple Watch myself. All right. Well, next up, with last but not least, is Shay Duarte. And again, she is with APH and she is part of our customer relations team. And Shay is going to talk to us about some things that APH offers that you might be interested in. All right, Shay, you want to introduce yourself?
Yes. Can everyone hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, you sound great.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm Shay. I'm a part of our customer service team here at APH, and I do our general customer service, but I also do tech support. So if any of those trickier devices you have problems with, usually I can help you, or I'll find someone who can. So we'll go into some of the more kind of popular things that people have been grabbing up around the holidays, and just some of our more popular things in general. So the first thing I have is our Orbit Reader 20. And the Orbit Reader is, a lot of people like the Orbit because it's low priced for one, and it's great to start out with if you haven't had too much familiarity with Braille displays or things like that in general. It's a nice device to get started with. And so I always the way I explain these to people is it's basically sort of like a Bluetooth keyboard, but for Braille. So you use your Braille entry method and you can read books off of there, you can take notes, so you can use it as a standalone device and kind of take it with you as a note taker or e-reader sort of if you preload your books. But you can also connect it to any phones, iPads, computers, anything like that, and kind of pair it as a external keyboard and read and write off of there and kind of make yourself a little bit faster, a little bit more productive if you're into the Braille version of typing. And so that is the Orbit. And then the next thing we have is our calendars. So our Insights calendars, these are really popular. So our calendars are really great for people just to have kind of on a desk or on a wall. They are kind of bound in like a kind of like a spiral. So they're really nice and really handy to just kind of have there. And they have some really interesting artwork on there as well. And so every year, I've had so many people tell me lately, we buy these calendars every year and they're my favorites. So the calendars are really great and really inexpensive. So if you need to kind of get something for a group of people or anything like that, kind of like a small kind of Christmas favor, the calendars are a really great thing to do that for. The next thing we have is also calendar related, but this one's a little more different. So with this calendar, it's called our Easy Track calendar. But whereas the smaller calendar was kind of just a smaller spiral bound type of thing, this one is more, it's nicer and it's a bigger book. So this one is for low vision. And if you like to write in your appointments, this one has probably about 4 dates per page, and you can actually write in all of your different appointments for various days. And so a lot of people like this one if they like to still kind of keep their calendars not so electronically. And it's a great way to just keep organized and things like that. And so that is our Easy Track calendar. This one is in large print, but we are also getting one in Braille, and we should have that one here at any point now. And that one can also be had the same kind of format, the 4 dates and things like that. And the next thing we have is a pocket notebook. So this is also kind of another thing if people aren't too, they don't really take too much electronics on the go, but they still want to take notes or phone numbers or whatnot, they want to write them down. This pocket notebook is great because it's a smaller size, and it's kind of, it's in a sort of faux leather, so it still looks nicer to carry around as well. And it carries probably about 50 sheets in it. And it also has a separate pocket for a slate and stylus. And so that's kind of where that comes in. That's your basic pen and paper for people if they don't want to take a phone, or if they don't have kind of a newer phone to take notes on and they want to save a phone number or an appointment or anything like that. This is a great notebook to have. And then we also have, if those notebooks are a hit, we also have additional paper and tabs that can be bought separately. So if you already kind of know someone who maybe has one of these smaller notebooks, but they need kind of filler pages and things like that, the filler pages and tabs can definitely be gotten separately. And then the next thing we have is the slate that goes along with this notebook. So this slate will fit in the pocket that is attached. And this one with 4 lines, and it is a plastic slate. So it's really thin, really lightweight, easy to carry. So you don't really have you don't have too much you need to carry, but it's also great for kind of on the go notes and things like that. And so that's kind of our Braille note taking things, but we also have one that's for large print. So this is just a regular bold line spiral notebook. So it looks like any regular notebook would. It has a nice, really nice blue cover. And in this notebook, instead of kind of just regular thinner lines that are more closer together, these ones are bolded and more outlined and a little bit more spaced apart. So if you do know someone who's in that kind of large print, who reads and writes large print, this would be a good thing for low vision users. And I think that is everything here on my list, but definitely those are kind of just some a little bit less high-tech, low-tech ideas. The Orbit is definitely a great one if you're wanting something kind of to dive into tech, but you're not completely there yet. And then, of course, the Braille and large print things for people who don't use as much tech yet.
Thank you so much, Shay. I really appreciate you sharing all those great products with us. APH has some wonderful things that I think, people a lot of times associate our products with school-age children or high-tech things that are more pricey, but we really have a lot to offer, adults and at all spectrum, or excuse me, at all areas of the spectrum as it relates to price. So I hope you guys will consider checking out some of those things as well. We did have a couple of questions that came in. I think they were both for Jeannie, which that doesn't surprise me a bit. So Jeannie, someone wanted you to please spell Kuhneken again.
Kunriken.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Kuhn, that's one word, Rikon, Kunriken.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful. I will put that in the chat for the person who asked. And then also, do you happen to know the model number again for the Hamilton Beach? I don't know which product that was. They just said Hamilton Beach.
It was the Hamilton Beach food processor, and yes, I do because I wrote it down. It is 70740, 70740, and it's the Hamilton Beach 8-cup food processor.
And I don't know if I can type.
And it's, I can't remember, I may have put it in when I listed it on the things that I sent you. I'm not sure if I put the model number or not.
Okay, well that's fine. We will.
That's 70740.
Okay, so now, and if you guys have questions and you want to raise your hands, I would certainly be happy to get those questions in. You can start thinking about them and raising your hands if you'd like. But in the meantime, I'm going to ask our panelists some questions. First up, let me get back to my questions. I lost them here. One moment. Oh my goodness, I should know better than to have all these tabs open on my screen. Okay, here we go. First up, I want to ask you, and I think Jeannie, if you want to tackle this, and maybe one other person can chime in. We've got a few questions, so we'll try and circulate a little bit. What things should I consider when giving gifts to friends or family members who are visually impaired? And maybe Laura can chime in on this too.
Okay. First of all, you want to know if the person has any vision at all, because people who have some vision are going to, of course, try to use the vision they have, which they should. And if a person has some vision, for example, you might want to get things where there's good contrast between the item and any print that might be on it, for example. And I love cutting mats for cutting up vegetables and fruits and such. And I think it's safer to do it on a mat or a cutting board. And you can get cutting mats and cutting boards where one side is dark and one side is light. So if you're cutting something that's light, then you can use the dark side for the contrast. And if you're cutting something that's dark, you can use the light side for the contrast. If a person has very low vision or is totally blind when it comes to the electrical appliances, you may recall that earlier I talked about knobs or analog versus digital. Now, some digital things we can use. The Instant Pot is digital, but the buttons on it are kind of like little bubbles and they're easy to feel. An item that has a flat screen would probably be harder. And there are certain models of the Instant Pot that have a knob on the front that you have to turn to go to the different settings. And I think that would be difficult too. I generally don't recommend that model, especially for people who are totally blind. So it helps to know if the person does have any usable vision when you're buying a present. And I'll let Laura elaborate more if she'd like.
Sure.
Jeannie?
Well, one of the things I think I would point out has more to do with etiquette than a specific gift that you might give someone, and that involves the process of gift giving. Consider the packaging that the gift is packaged in. Once the gift is unwrapped, a person with low or no vision still has no idea what it is you've handed them. They've unwrapped it, but they can't read it. There's no braille on it. If they have no vision at all the large print in the world isn't going to make any difference. Now they've unwrapped your gift and you've put them in the awkward position of having to say, wonderful, what is it? I have no idea. So consider that moment and either repackage the gift in a way that makes the gift easier to identify, and then provide the packaging, the instructions, the charging cable or whatever came in the box. Give that to them after the fact so that they know what the gift is once it's unwrapped. Or if it's in one of those packages that's a cardboard backed bubble wrap type package, the ones that inevitably say frustration free packaging, which never really is because you still need a sharp metal instrument to get it open. Someone with low vision can't see through the packaging, and even though it may be vaguely shaped like the object it's packaged for, you still can't tell what it is. So again, if there's any way you could assist the person, maybe by pre-opening the package or removing the tape or the seal or whatever it is that's making the object in the box identifiable, do that in advance so that when the person unwraps the gift, they can go one step further and identify the gift.
Oh, that's a really great point. I can so personally relate to that. So thank you, both Laura and Jeannie. I really appreciate your insights there. I think those are really great tips. Next, let's see, Shay. Do you think are there and well, anyone can chime in on this. I just picked you because I hadn't picked on you yet. Are there things that as a gift giver that is giving, or that a gift giver who is giving a gift to someone with low vision, are there things that they should steer clear of?
I don't necessarily think there are things kind of to steer clear of, more of just make sure there is some way to have, if there's kind of a manual or user guide or any sort of paper or writing in there, make sure there's some kind of form of accessible means to get to that information. So if you're giving something to someone, just make sure they know this can all be found online here, or give them information, kind of the more important information on what that would say. And I think that's just the biggest thing.
Great, thank you. Does anybody else have anything to chime in on that specific question?
Well, I would just say that on the instances where I've been given a gift where there have been included instructions or a user's guide, where there is no online version available, this was maybe back in the days of yore, prior to the internet, where all user's guides were available in, accessible or digital format. Consider recording the instructions. Just create a little recording of you reading the instructions, either recorded on that person's voice recorder or on your voice memos app on your phone, and then send it to them via email. Just create a little audio for them so that in the unlikely, but occasional event that the instructions are not clear or not accessible online, that person still has access to the information.
Well, and another thing is that it's just nice for them to be able to hear the voice of the person who gave them the gift. And I think it makes it even more special.
More personal, certainly, yes.
So,
Melanie?
yes.
I would just add, and this is Richard speaking, that I think everything I would have said has been said, but I think also knowing your person who you're gifting to, and if it includes a card, a greeting card or something, a lot of low vision people don't read Braille or haven't learned Braille. So giving them a card with Braille might be thoughtful, but they might not know Braille yet. And that's happened to me quite a bit growing up.
Yeah.
Likewise, for a person who maybe you haven't seen in a year and maybe they've lost more vision, and giving them something in a large print when they could use Braille if they learned Braille. So knowing what their preferred media is when you're giving them something with instructions, whether it's been brailled out or it made in large print, I think that's something to be mindful of as well, because vision does change, especially with people with sudden vision loss or rapid vision loss or other conditions that we may not be aware of.
Okay, that excellent point. Yeah. So I have, and while I have you, Richard, why don't I pick on you?
Sure.
So tell me about a gift that you've received that either was a home run out of the park or one that maybe didn't work out so well, especially as it relates to being accessible to you. What would that be and why?
Not long ago, my lovely 92-year-old grandma, who probably owns stock in QVC, she sends me appliances every so often, sometimes without asking me. And she often thinks I see what I had vision that I had 25 years ago when I was wearing bifocals and I didn't need a cane or a guide dog. And that's not the case anymore. And lovingly, she says, "Oh, I sent you, Mijo, I sent you something." And it was a air fryer. And as Jeannie was pointing out, it's a digital air fryer with a flat screen, and it doesn't talk like the iPhone. It doesn't connect with my Echo device. And so I just had to kind of grin and bear it and say, "Thank you, Grandma," and find a way to label it, put little tactile markers on it. And it's not the best, but can you really disappoint your 92-year-old grandma? No.
That's a fair point. What about you?
Sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. Were you? I
No,
apologize.
your second question. I'm sorry.
No, that was just it. It was just kind of, or did you have one that accessibility wise was just out of the park, like a really great gift?
No, I think anytime I can be gifted something that relates to the technologies I talked about earlier, I'm happy. An Apple Watch,
Yeah.
a talking device, those types of things make me happy, or even just a Bluetooth keyboard because I'm on the computer a lot.
Yeah.
By default, I'm a foodie, so if you send me coffee or olive oil from Italy, I'm happy. But again, that's accessible to my tummy, not to my ears.
Right. Anybody else want to take a stab at that? And then
I do.
I have one hand raised that I want to make sure we get to.
This is Jeannie.
Okay.
A few years ago, we have a dear friend, and I didn't know him until my husband and I got married, but he and my husband had been friends for years, and my husband has quite a bit of vision, but I'm the first person I think that he knew who didn't have any vision. And so the first year that my husband and I were together, he gave me a talking watch. Well, I've been blind all my life, and I've never used a talking watch. I think they're fine for people who have no other way. And I'm really interested, Richard, in actually seeing the Bradley watch. I've never seen one of those, but I love Braille watches, but there was no way that I was ever going to use this talking watch. And of course, I didn't tell him that. I tried to be gracious, but that was not so good. And one time years ago, when I was a kid at a Sunday school party where we had a gift exchange, someone gave me a mirror, and I'm totally blind. So there you go.
Oh, no.
That's really awful. But both of you really highlight the need to really know the person that you're gifting to. That's just so important. And whether they're blind or not, I mean,
Yeah.
I can't imagine, maybe being like I really don't do any type of outdoorsy kind of stuff that much, and to get maybe like a hunting gear or something that would be way off base for me. So anyway, one last question before we get to participant questions. What's on your all's list? Who wants to start us off?
I can start.
Okay.
So we just recently found out we were moving. So obviously, like, we just want a bunch of house stuff. Um,
Great.
so yeah, just like anything for the new house, we'll need like new kitchen stuff, so yeah, anything really house related. But then for me in general, I'll take anything from Bath and Body Works. That store is very dangerous for me. It's very bad. Um, yeah.
Okay, great. Who's next? What's on your list, Jeannie?
It's sad. I don't have much because now I'm an old lady, quote unquote. I really don't feel old, but my best friend says I'm in denial. And so now that I'm retired, generally, if I really want something, like I just recently purchased a new set of cookware that I love, I just go ahead and buy it. So I wasn't even able to tell my husband anything that I really want for Christmas because I don't know. I get it when I want it. And so, I need that instant gratitude or instant gratification. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
I am a victim of that also.
Yes.
Why wait till Christmas?
Laura, what about you? What's on your Christmas list?
Well, everything I want is really expensive.
Me too.
So I wouldn't put that on a list.
Right. Well, just tell us one thing that you want.
Well, actually, since we were just put back on pause, they call it pause where I live. They don't want to use the word lockdown anymore, so we're on pause. So since I'm not going to be going out or doing anything anytime soon, I've got a treadmill on my list,
Okay.
and I think I'd like to augment that with an Apple Watch. But these are things I'll be buying for myself.
Yes, I understand. And as I mentioned earlier, an Apple Watch is high on my list. We're fingers crossed over here. All right, Richard, last but not least, what's on your list? I'm almost afraid to ask.
Well,
No.
let me go back and give an editorial that when I spoke about the Bradley watch, it wasn't about a blind guy who was in the Iraq War. It was an MIT student who had a fellow classmate who wasn't able to tell the time. So created that Bradley watch. So I just want to editorialize that I misspoke earlier, but the Bradley watch is a great watch. As far as the luxury gift I want, which is accessible with an app on the phone, I believe, is I don't have the model and make in front of me, but a rowing machine. I'd love to have a rowing machine. Just to really get some good upper body exercise going. I walk a lot. I take my dog on 3 to 4 mile walks 5 or 6 times a day. So my legs are fine. I just want to do more upper body, pull and stretch, and with the rowing machine would be great. On the stuff that that's affordable, again, coffee. I love coffee. Any good high quality roast and or like a garlic Italian olive oil from Italy. I'm simple.
Yeah. You're speaking my language. I love the good coffee. Bones Coffee, if you've not heard of it, is a really good brand that I just found. All right. Well, I see that we have one hand, and so it is a Grace. So what I can do, Grace, is give you I just ask you to unmute if you'd like to unmute. If not, you can certainly feel free to type in your question if you'd rather. Let's see here if we have.
I did unmute myself. Are you able to hear me okay?
Grace?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Go ahead with your question.
So thank you so much. This has been absolutely lovely. It's been really great to hear everyone's fantastic ideas. And I've got that full sheet of links now, and I'll carefully go through that. So thank you.
Wonderful.
My question is for Richard primarily, although if anyone has any insight. My mother is 90 years old, and she's completely blind, and she lives in her own apartment within a retirement community. And she's looking for a phone. So Richard, you mentioned the A lady,
Yes.
Alexa, who she has that, but in her residence, the Wi-Fi comes in and out. So she's looking for an alternative on her cell phone, ideally that will behave in the same way as as Alexa does. So to be able to speak to the phone to say, please call my favorite daughter or whatever, right? So do you know if such a phone exists that allows you to do that with someone with zero vision?
I'm going to quickly respond, and I think maybe our panelists or Melanie might know more, but I think there is the blind shell phone, which I don't know much about, but I think it's tactile and it does do basic functions.
Mm-hmm.
Dictate to it and say, please call my daughter, please call whoever. I don't know if that works. And then there's also the jitterbug. Is that still existing? I know that was really focused on people with low vision and people who are seniors many years ago with large buttons, and you could call an operator, place a phone call for you as an option.
I'll just add real quick here. Our information and referral coordinator, Alan Lovell, is on the webinar. I don't know, Alan, if you're able to raise your hand and I can give you a microphone if you have anything to share. But this is just the kind of thing that we handle in the Connect Center, especially on the information and referral line. And so I can share that telephone number with you. Alan has probably a ton of great resources. Oh, here he is. I'm going to give him a mic here. And let's see. Oh, did I give you? There we go. Oh, there we go. Sorry, I think I accidentally, my screen, there we go. Alan, you should be, there we go. Can you say something, Al? Oh, now you're muted again.
How about now?
There you go.
Oh, there.
There you are.
Hi, guys. Yeah, I put in the chat, actually, when you posted that question, ma'am, to feel free to call me at any point. We can have a more in-depth discussion over that. Many of the smartphones have that capability. It's just a matter of having it set up with your contacts lists already programmed in by name. But as Richard mentioned, there is the blind shell, which is a very simple, easy to use, I'll call it a semi-intelligent phone. So if for the purposes of being, expedient or whatever, you can just do a Google search for blind shell, SHELL, cell phone for the blind, and you'll be able to find out about it. I think it's got 26 or 28 different apps pre-installed and the ability to use voice, and it does have buttons versus the smooth touchscreen. But if your mother or grandmother is up for a challenge, wanting to learn something new, any of these other smartphones do have the ability to use your voice just like you do on Google or Alexa, or you could say, "Hey Siri," and get the same type of thing. Ask it a question, tell it to call someone, things like that.
Thank you, Alan. I accidentally muted Grace in my efforts to unmute Alan. So Grace, I have tried to click a button that asks you to unmute if you want to. Oh, I see. I think you do have a mic now.
I do, and that was very helpful. Thank you very much. I did see that that number provided, the telephone number. I'll actually look through the internet and see what I find on those that you just recommended. If I have other questions, I'll call you. Thank you.
Absolutely.
And the blind shell, I think it was Laura who mentioned AT guys, but I believe the blind shell, they have it.
Yes.
And so Grace, you should see that link in the document that I sent out. AT Guys is one of the vendors under Laura's section. I think she may be listed first or second. But in any case, you should see AT Guys there if you want to support them, if you decide to go that route. And I should also mention, well, while I have Alan up, Alan, do you want to share anything about the information and referral line and what types of things that you help people with, just in case there's someone who may be unfamiliar with it?
Sure. Blindness in general, related questions, anything you can think of. And if we don't have an answer immediately for you within our resources, we'll do some research to find an answer. So questions relating to blindness, technology, how do I perform this, whatever task this might be as a blind person, or where can I find services if I'm struggling with anything related to visual impairment. So that's the type of questions that we really specialize in.
And can you share your contact information real quick
Yes,
again?
yes. The phone number is 800-232-5463. I'll repeat it, 800-232-5463. Right now, I'm a one-man show on that phone number, so be patient. If you do not get an answer, please leave me a message. You can also email connectcenter@aph.org. That comes to me as well, and I can respond to your email questions there.
And Alan, while we have you, what's on your Christmas list this year? I know I'm putting you on the spot.
Oh gosh, all my stuff is expensive too.
Yeah.
I mentioned in the chat, I don't know if you saw, we've been talking a lot about the Apple Watch.
Yeah.
Now, I bought this for my spouse last month. The Apple Watch, the 3rd edition, is $160. It does most of the features that the more recent Apple Watch 5s and 6s do, except I don't think it reads your blood oxygen saturation, but it does everything else. $160 versus $400. So I may be asking for that. I don't have one. He does now. I don't.
Well, we'll have to put a little bug in his ear. Thanks, Alan. Well, I don't see any more hands. We have about 8 minutes left. Is there anything? Let me make sure we don't have any more questions. I think we're all good on questions. So to our panelists or Alan, is there anything you want to add that we haven't covered so far?
Just keep in mind, and many of you probably already know this because you are here, but aphconnectcenter.org is where you can find all of our online resources, several websites curated around your particular demographic. So if you are a family with a visually impaired or blind child, there is Family Connect. There is VisionAware.org for adults and seniors. There is APH CareerConnect, that's Richard's specialty, curating information for job seekers. Of course, you can reach all of those on our calendar landing page. The calendar page is, of course, where you can find events relating to blindness that you might be able to browse through. That URL is aphconnectcenter.org.
Alan, I just dropped a bunch of links into the chat. As Alan mentioned, the Connect Center call information, email, our playlist, or the YouTube playlist can be found at our website. So aphconnectcenter.org/webinars. That links to our playlist on YouTube to find this later if you missed something. Of course, I sent the link for the handout again. And then I also wanted to mention real quick that tomorrow we have a podcast airing on this topic specifically, just all about gifts. It's called Change Makers, and I've dropped a link in there for where you can find that, at least on iTunes. You can find it whatever podcatcher you use, basically. But Change Makers is what it's called. It's the APH podcast, and tomorrow is all about gifts. So any last thoughts from anybody else?
I'll tell you this in case anybody else, or unless anybody else does, and this is kind of what my parents are giving me for Christmas, and I didn't ask for it specifically because I'm a blind guy, but it's going to be useful in a lot of ways to those who are blind too, now that I think about it, and that is a deadbolt for the door that I use to go in and out of my house the most, that has a code where the buttons are tactile. You don't have to fumble with your keys. Some people might have neuropathy in their fingers and struggle to slide the key, get the key matched up with the hole, especially if you're carrying armload of bags and things like that. You can just as easily walk up to the door, punch in a code, and enter.
Yeah.
And again, that did not originate because I'm blind, but now that I think about it, hey, that has lots of benefits.
We need that link.
You could, if you have a link to something like that, Alan, you could share it with us, or otherwise, I'm sure an Amazon search for a keyless deadbolt or something like that.
Yeah, I hadn't even picked one out yet, but I will be happy to do that.
Okay.
They're on Amazon. They're available in hardware stores. There's nothing special about them for the blind necessarily, except you want the buttons to be raised. You don't want them to be flat.
Right. Good point. Richard, did you have something?
Yeah, I was just going to kind of echo kind of what Alan was saying, and it's kind of the shared knowledge like this for our community, where Jeannie's site, her all text site, or other sites through Facebook, where blind people get together and share, hey, what's working for you? How did you make that flat screen thing accessible? Or what's a better model, whether it's deadbolt or an electronic device, appliance, or a rowing machine, a treadmill. I think the community has a lot of great Facebook groups out there that a lot of folks may not know about, and you can get some brilliant information coupled with, of course, our INR line. But I think there's information out there to be had with a simple search.
Yes.
Very good points. Yeah, there are some really great groups out there. You know, we all hear about some of the traditional blindness groups like the NFB or the ACB, but there are even other groups that have been established, especially on Facebook, that are just your average person who's just started a group of people. I mean, that's what Jeannie did, right, Jeannie?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, you're not really affiliated, or your group's not anyway. I think that there are some other groups like that out there. So yeah, if you are, you know, on Facebook, or you know, doing any kind of tech stuff, that's definitely a great option. And if you're not, I know that at least one of the organizations, you know, I don't know if both of the blindness organizations are doing these community calls that Jeannie mentioned earlier, but they're a really great way to connect to other blind and visually impaired people. And so I know that the ACB is at least doing them, and you can find many of their calls on our community calendar. So if you again go to aphconnectcenter.org, and then you can there navigate to the calendar, and you can see all these, a lot of their calls, especially for people who are new to low vision, a lot of their calls are listed there on the calendar. Well, I really want to thank you guys. Unless there's anything else, I think we are really, we are just about 2 minutes shy of our 4:30 cutoff time. But I just want to thank you guys so much for being here and sharing all this great information with us, and just being so open about some of the things that you're interested in. We've gotten some great comments. I see that we have an O&M instructor whose son, 11-year-old son, is a Braille reader, and she's saying thank you and Merry Christmas. Oh, and it looks like they got there's at Home Depot, it looks like, and so I'm assuming it's the, oh yeah, it's the lock, and everybody has personalized code. Very good, interesting. So so yeah, I just, you know, thank you guys again. This has just been a lot of fun, and I hope that you guys will come back and share more with us in the new year.
Thank you.
Definitely. And I think the NFB also does do their own, they do their own calls as well. But the interesting thing about those is they're broken down by state. So it gets a lot more, the groups are a lot smaller depending, but they also do kind of their things on Zoom as well, but they have them broken down kind of in chapters by state.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I just will say that if you want to look for any of these groups, you can go to acb.org for the American Council of the Blind, and NFB for the National Federation of the Blind, and nfb.org. And so I'm sure you'll find more information about their calls and events and things like that. But yes, definitely get plugged in. So all right, well, we will say goodbye for now, and I hope you guys have a very happy holiday season, and looking forward to everything in the new year. Thanks so much, guys.